Whoever stabbed Devin, spelled incorrectly, in the pulmonary artery and then pulled that butcher knife out would have been covered in Devin's blood. The entire front of the body, including hair, face, and neck. The heart doesn't stop beating until the entire chest cavity fills with blood. The heart is pumping under extreme pressure and blood will splurt everywhere. Splurt. Splurt. Darlie could not have done this crime. I confirmed this with an expert in forensics and AI. There's an expert in forensics somewhere that gave you an opinion without looking at a body, without knowing the distance. Where did the killer stand? If the killer was standing up and just stabbed down at Devin, you're assuming this person leaned down and got right in Devin's face. But if they were stabbing Devin from standing up, they're not gonna. If anything, gonna get on their feet. But he was stabbed in the pulmonary valve. You could tell by the pictures that were taken when the carpet was removed. There wasn't a whole lot of blood out in that area. There was a little bit, but not like they're describing here. You're not necessarily going to have, there's elements of physics too. He was laying down, so that if you're assuming that somebody squatted down to stab him, then you would likely have footprint or knee prints or some print in the carpet. But they could be, if they squatted down off to the left of him, is the blood going to go to the left and hit their face and their hair? What if they were on the right of him? Would the blood just happen to go where they were at because of the splurting? Just because he was stabbed in that pulmonary artery does not absolutely mean that there would be gushing blood. It does not mean that. Each person is different. He was laying down, half asleep. So his heart rate was already at very low because he was asleep. If you're running and running and running, you get in a fight with somebody, you get stabbed, you have more of a chance of getting a splurting wound that will actually shoot out everywhere. But think about it. There's a picture posted in the Darlie Routier war room with the carpet removed, and there's only a couple spots of blood under where Devin was at. This fact could have eliminated Darlie. How would that eliminate Darlie as a suspect? Nope, whoever stabbed them had blood all over them. Well, if that person had blood all over their feet, all over, let me see, their hair, face, neck, right? The entire front of the body. Well, he didn't leave any on the way out that window. He didn't leave any going over that fence. He didn't leave any going down the alley. Right? This is pure stupidity, and that's how I'm going to respond to that. Yes, you would think that if they stabbed it straight in, that it would just gush blood all over. You got to remember, he was asleep and laying down. And we don't know the position that this alleged intruder was supposed to be in. We do know that there's a very low amount of blood that was left on the padding from under the carpet. There wasn't a whole lot of blood over there in that area. As a matter of fact, Damon left a little more blood. That doesn't, so, and then the thing of it is, you get 6 people that'll like that comment. Let's check this out, though. The wound in question that Mary Kelly may be speaking about is stab wound number 1 from Devin Routier's official autopsy. There's a stab wound in the upper chest located 12 by 1/2 inches from the top of the head and 2 inches to the left of the midline. The stab wound measures 2 inches in length and has a sharp and blunt angle. The stab wound perforates the left chest wall between the anterior 4th and 5th ribs. The stab wound then perforates the left upper lobe of lung, the pulmonary artery above the pulmonary valve, the right lower lobe of the lung, and penetrates into the right posterior chest approximately 1/16 of an inch. The stab wound penetrates into the right posterior chest between ribs 7 and 8, and there is corresponding hemorrhage in the posterior chest wall. The stab wound measures 1 3/4 inches in length and measuring the defect with the musculature of the anterior chest wall. Okay, so let's take a look here at what this is. Just above the pulmonary valve. So stab wound 1 came in about right here with a little bit of an angle right in here. That's where it came from. Just above it, not, according to that, it's just above that. That's where it came from. So let's take a look at a case study with a pulmonary valve stabbing case study. Let's see. Case presentation. Let me show you where this is coming from. PMC PubMed Central, National Library of Medicine. We're going to break down this pulmonary valve injury. Case presentation. A 40-year-old man was taken to the local hospital by his supervisor by foot due to concerns over moving a foreign object impaling his chest. Okay, let's first look at the word impaled. Okay, because people give Toby Shook a lot of crap because he said, oh, he was impaled. And it did not go through and through. And impaled does not mean a through and through. This is a case presentation coming from the National Library of Medicine. A foreign object was impaling his chest, meant it was sticking out of his chest. As soon as the emergency physician noted that an ice pick was penetrating the man's left chest, we established an intravenous line while preventing the object from moving from its original position, and an ambulance took the patient to our emergency department. This is what we have. Okay, that wound is exactly where they describe Devin's wound, but this man is a 40-year-old man, and you notice that he got the same type of wound with a sharp object, just like Devin's, 2 inches down. All right, so let's move back over here, and I'll show you this. Right here, right? It's exactly right here. It's not into the heart, it's right on that vein. Boom. This is the same injury that we're talking about. This is a 40-year-old man that walked with an ice pick stuck. He wasn't bleeding out everywhere. And when they pulled this thing out, let's take a look. On examination, the patient's general condition was not critical. Glasgow coma, scale score 15, respiratory rate 24 breaths per minute, blood pressure 123/79, a little bit high on this end. Heart rate at 76 beats per minute, oxygen saturation 100%. On 2L nasal cannula, the body temperature at 37.2 Celsius. The patient would not reveal the actual cause of injury. An interview with his family disclosed no history of depressive disorder, pharmacological treatment, substance use, or alcohol abuse. But the patients had a history of several pneumothorax injuries, one 10 years prior, and 2 a year prior to this episode. In all episodes, he had been hospitalized for several days for chest drainage and discharged without any complications. Considering his condition, we strongly suspected a self-inflicted injury. However, our patient denied any suicidal ideation, depressive mood, or hopelessness. His family members described him as a quiet and gentle person. Cardiovascular auscultation was unremarkable, without murmurs or gallops. Chest x-ray demonstrated a clear lung field without pneumothorax or hemothorax. So, but the point of what I'm saying is, this is what it shows the wound. This is the same exact kind of wound that Devin had, and he's not bleeding all over everybody in the hands and the face. He's not bleeding out. You're not going to bleed out just necessarily from that wound. This man walked himself to emergency and then was driven to the emergency room with an ice pick checking out his chest. And this wasn't the first wound he had. But that doesn't mean you're going to bleed all over somebody. You have to take the consideration, there's the position that Devin was laying in, the position of the intruder. How hard was he stabbed? It went 2 inches in. The knife was slightly angled with the blunt. No, it doesn't mean boom, and you're just going to spray blood everywhere. As a matter of fact, if you want to get into the whole spraying of blood, Darren said that he bled into his mouth. He breathed into his mouth, and blood sprayed everywhere. If Darlie was down there helping him, she would have had his blood all over him too. But there's very little blood. Let me see if I can find it. This is the living room. The couch would have been right here. The carpet is pulled up. This is the spot where Devin was. This is where Devin was laying at. And you see there's not that much blood there for it to be splurting all over somebody. There's not that much blood. There's one spot there, and a little bit right there. The couch is right here. He was covered up with a blanket right there. That's it. Most of it is in his neck area. But you don't see a whole lot of blood everywhere like you would think it would be all over the damn walls and everything else, according to Mary Kelly's post. Please, Mary Kelly, go have several seats and research this case and know your shit before you can put out dumb shit about it.